Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. Today's video has some very exciting comps with units that you maybe don't see that often. I'll be playing against Keepals, who is around 22-2300, so this is a very high MMR match as per usual. Now I decided to pick my favorite specialist, the Elite Specialist, starting with Steel Balls and Fangs. Not the best pack, I would say, right? A lot of people don't like this starter because it has somewhat of an anti-synergy between the slow Fangs that are ranged and the low-range fast Steel Balls. But I think that with the amount of hit points that you get, it is honestly quite playable. Certainly if I decide to play defensive, which, because I know my opponent likes to play aggro, and I mean with this pack he likely would play aggro, I'm pretty comfortable defending. With Elite Spec, I don't mind buying Hounds. I'm not the biggest fan of Hound with every other spec because I think it's awkward to play with that level 1 breakpoint against same level crawlers. But on Elite, you don't have to worry about that. You immediately get level 2 so we can one-shot the enemy crawlers, and when that happens, Hound is actually pretty good. So that's what we're going to go for. It also kind of suits the shorter range engagements better than something like Arclight, and eventually it will be able to clear faster because of techs like Mech Rage. So that's what I decided to go for. We go for a center defense because I don't know where he's going to end up, and I like to use this kind of inside tower positioning where I'm 2 squares from the inside of the tower, and that means anything will get pulled on round 1. So you will see this crawler here, instead of going to tower on the diagonal, it'll go to my Fangs. And that's very helpful because, well, it means you don't get accidentally debuffed right at the start of round 1. Let's see, how much can the Hounds do and how are the Steel Ball engagements going to end up? Because that's mostly what's going to be important here. Who locks onto who first, and then who will still have some Steel Balls left in the end. 2 crawlers going over to my tower there, a little bit scary, but maybe we're fine if we can kill the enemy Steel Balls. Seems like the engagement is pretty even, but yeah, I've got that Elite Spec advantage, right? Being able to have those level 2s on round 1, and in fact, we even keep some Steel Balls alive. We'll get debuffed, but I mean, 2 crawlers can try all they want. They won't get through this army, even with the debuff. And so we do win the first round. As expected, again, Elite Spec is kind of meant to win round 1, considering that you spend an extra 100, and, well, you also have to factor in the level 2 bonus, right, which you kind of get for free. Round number 2, immediately we have a choice of unit reinforcements. Nothing here looks that good to me. I don't need Arclights. I already have Hounds for Chaff Clear. Typhoon is alright, but I wouldn't consider it that good into these units. I also don't like playing it on defense, so Phoenix is maybe just the best. It's for free, so it means that I still get to spend my other money, and level 1 units are always nice to get on Elite because you don't really get the benefit of getting a level 2 unit as you would with other specialists, right? Like, other specialists like getting that level 2 unit from the unit drop because it's more expensive for them to acquire it. For Elite, it's the other way around. I can't acquire level 1 units, so those are kind of slightly more valuable. This is even more true for things like Fangs and then those type of chaff drops, but I think it also applies to a certain degree to the 200 cost unit drops like the Phoenix, because we get the unlock cost and then we get a level 2 unit, but we don't have to kind of overpay for the level, which our specialist already gets anyway. So Phoenix here makes sense, right? It allows us to get some anti-air, and opponent goes into Phantom Ray. Now, something about Keepals is he really loves experimenting with Phantom Rays, and you will see that his tech loadout is slightly different from what you would expect normally, right? A lot of people just play Phantoms for the tankiness, and then sometimes they'll click armor, and then that's about it. You know, maybe you'll see like a stealth click every now and then, but, you know, not much else. But Keepals plays it a bit different. He has that range, he has the high explosive, and then he runs burst and shield. And, well, that already tells you something about how this game is going to go. Now, round number 3, he gets Advanced Power System. I decided to pick up the Advanced Missile Device spec because I felt like I could probably hit some of these units here. And, well, the bonus damage on this is quite significant, and even if I don't end up using it that much, paying 50 for it is not the worst. So I think, you know, the potential benefit of it is worth it in this case. Opponent decides to flank me with some crawlers. I do have level 2 fangs blocking that though. Put it there on round 2 to defend against a potential air flank, but level 2 fangs are able to win against a level 1 pack of crawlers, so we would have been fine anyway. But I still decided to pick up some hounds on the left because they'll just help clearing it faster, and people often like to put crawlers in the shallow flank too when they're playing aggro. Right side tower has been leveled, and I decided to pick up Mech Rage first. And normally I would always recommend you take range on your hounds, on any chaff clear unit really, but because he was such a low range comp and really running into me, I felt like I could get away with Mech Rage for now, and then I'll probably get range shortly after. So this is kind of an experiment, but I felt like, you know, we're already so close to one another, and I think the extra clear speed should help. Let's see. Opponent going for temp speed as well. I could try and maybe prod at this tower, but it's a bit more expensive to do on elite because I'll probably need like 2 unit deployments on that side, and well, they're going to be level 2 units. If they end up being in a position where I can't really save them once he answers it, and that's going to hurt my comp in the long term. Opponent goes for a beacon. I didn't really defend against this, but at least now we know that, well, that is a vulnerability we have. But yeah, that's not going to end up too well for us. Phantom's going to take out my phoenixes, and that probably means that we can't kill the air units anyway. Not that that's a problem, because, well, if we look at all of the ground units still alive, it's a bit too much. But hey, I mean, we did well the first 2 rounds. Opponent was already down below 3k, and with the hit points that we started with, we can afford to lose some rounds here and there. Round number 4, efficient tech research shows up. I could pick it, but I tend to only like pick this card if I haven't clicked any techs yet. And even if I do end up clicking like basically 4 techs, which is what you need to make profit, it's not going to make that much of a difference in the long term, in my opinion, right? If we start making maybe 50, 100, 150 by the end of the game, which goes until like round 8 or 9, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like that big of a profit, because in those later stages, you get so much money, it doesn't matter that much. So instead, I prefer kind of thinking about my early game here, which is when I really need as much money as possible because my units are so expensive. And I just decide to skip. And in return, we get to buy some oil, which is going to slow down my opponent for 2 turns. We also buy a sledgehammer, place it vertically in front of the tower. This is going to be very helpful to stall the steel balls, the phantoms, and the typhoons. Just in general, I think sledgehammer is the best stall unit in the game. You will hear me say this a lot, but yeah, if you've got kind of problems defending, then, you know, just have a look and see if you've got something to tank, or if you've got some sledgehammers. They will often help out. Opponent now with a flank, adding phantoms and clicking the high explosive button. So this gives 5 meters of splash to a unit that starts with 3. And it does reduce the attack by 40%. And there's an awful lot of phantoms, I will say. Also, we place an advanced missile device here, and let's have a look at that one. There it goes, there it travels, boom. Level 2 steel balls, level 1 typhoons. Absolutely deleted, which is a good thing because I only had the phoenixes and I wasn't really prepared for the 3 phantom additions that the opponent went for. But with that, we should be fine here. We get a debuff at the correct timer too, because we would have gotten debuffed, and well, if my phoenixes ever went down and got sniped, that would have been the end of it. Oh, we almost managed to grab that missile, but not quite. And round 4, opponent already down to 2200 hit points here. And number 5, Fire Badger's Rhino, Saber, and Marksman offered. Sabertooth we could go for if we expect the opponent to go Rhino, but I was thinking Marksman is the only thing that really shoots up, and I do need a response to the Phantoms right now. I only have 1 Phoenix, and I love playing Assault Marksman, especially on Elite. It is a lot of fun. You get so much more value out of the high levels, and now we get to add 2 level 4 Assault Marksman to our board, which, mind you, get 500% bonus hit points, 3 move speed, 50% bonus attack, and then also a bonus splash of 9 meters. You get so much stats. Obviously, you do lose range for it, but because it's round 5, you manage to get Assault Marksman and range enhancement at the same time, and still buy 2 Assault Marksmen with that. I decided to put the 2 high-level ones kind of facing the bigger part of his army, and then we're going to use 1 level 2 here to defend the flank, and then another level 2 to kind of start screening the right side, because it is normal for him to attack the right side here. Maybe I should have kind of put the 2 high-level ones in the middle instead, because I did oil, and generally speaking, aggro players will start switching to their weak side on unit drop rounds because it gives them more deployments so they can build a bigger army in one turn. They add the Sabers, which is a unit that's very good against marksmen, especially assault marksmen, not so much normal marksmen. But yeah, he is definitely prepared here, and yeah, you can see the damage there is plenty to take out my units. And with the mobile beacon, I mean, there is an onslaught of phantom rays right now. That is a lot of stuff with plenty of tanky units on the ground as well. So I'm not so sure we're going to be able to win here. Marksman does a good job, though. It is high level after all, but yeah, we're not going to be able to kill those sabers. Never mind about the phantom. So opponent strikes back, and we find ourselves at 3.6 thousand hit points. Now, round number 6. Nothing really of value. Maybe redeployment is worth considering, but apart from that, probably not something I want. I mean, I could take absorption. Okay, I do take the absorption. Could throw that onto a steel ball and kind of get energy absorption for, well, not free, but a lower price. And maybe later on we can sell this and transition it onto a giant if a unit drop offers one. It would have been fine to skip as well, though. It's not going to be the most important. And we decide to pick up some more sledges on the right side as well, because it just so happens sledgehammers also are very good at stalling against single target DPS like sabers. We also add some more chaff. And we decide to range our steel balls because I felt like I needed something to deal with these sabers, and honestly with the range they shouldn't be too bad into the high level typhoons either. Opponent adds more chaff, goes for the redeployment, which allows him to move some of his already spawned in units on the flank without having them to spawn in again. So yeah, the phantom is now kind of favorably placed, able to deal with these dudes. And he just, oh, he got extended range phantom ray. You know, I hadn't even noticed this until the recording. I know I played this game, but this shows you that you might want to take a look at the cards every now and then. I had not seen that these were extended range, which gives them 30 bonus range and decreases their hit points, but that's not that important because I think they would have gotten one shot by the marksman anyway. Okay, now I have a better understanding of what happened in this game. I see. Okay, so it is an extended range phantom ray game that we're playing. That makes things a little bit more difficult because you'll see they'll have 110 range, just base, that's without clicking the range enhancement, and well, our marksmen have 110 with range enhancement. Close round here, but again, it seems like the tankiness from their ground units is a little bit too much. And then round number 7, Photon Emission shows up. I decide to pick it up. I think the additional tankiness for 150 is fine on a round like this. And we are engaged in a lot of like just head-on-head collisions here with very stat-heavy units. So the bonus hit points that you get from Photon effectively should be worthwhile. Opponent here, I mean, Photon Emission is fine. He could also consider taking advanced defensive tactics if he wants. Kind of try and make up a little bit for the loss of damage that he has from that high explosive tech. And he will do so. And now, I mean, I was basically thinking, well, what can I do? And I believe that I buy more crawlers to try and kind of farm these crawlers on his side. Because the thing about Elite is he can't really go for a crawler fight because mine are always going to be higher level than his. And something like Impact Drill or Replicate here could be very, very useful. In the long term, I might probably want to go for something like a a Titan. An Abyss would be very good here into the Phantoms. I think Assault Marksman, though, should be good into it too. And that was kind of something I wanted to test here. And it's just fun to play, right? I just generally prefer playing small unit boards. As you may know, I'm not the biggest fan of, like, just spamming giants. And I don't like Titans all that much either, because they just, like, they take up every role, right? Like, they just, you put them on the board, and they just deal, like, you know, 200,000 damage a turn and, like, kill half the enemy board. I kind of like seeing my small units do well. So I'm a bit stubborn in that regard. So yeah, this game, I was kind of feeling like just, you know, fighting the Phantoms with the Assault Mode Marksman and then seeing if I could beat it that way. Marksmen are also starting to get rather high level, right? We have one level 5 able to turn level 6. We did get rid of all of the sabers, so that removes a fair bit of damage. But seems like still we're getting overwhelmed here by the enemy Phantoms, and we're gonna get, yeah, equalized down to 2200 as we enter round number 8. Wasps are offered here. This could be worth picking. Wasp is also very good into Phantom with range and AA, but not too sure how that matchup goes if the opponent has extended range Phantom Rays with range and HE. It might not be as good as I think it is. We add another steel ball, pick up the heavy armor, just a solid item. Keep in mind that all of these buffs, whether it's an attack buff or a health buff, are additive. So don't go and put a heavy armor on your Assault Mode Marksman, because they already have 500% bonus. And so all other bonuses, like from the tower for instance, are going to be additive. That means that currently I added 15% from the first tower defense enhancement, so it's 515%. And if I would give a heavy armor to an Assault Mode Marksman, it would go up to 595%, right? It would just add the 80. So it's not multiplicative, which means that it's much less valuable to do this than to just give it to one of the steel balls, right? Which currently only has these two bonuses from the tower and the item. We're going to click AA, which will give us a little bit of extra range. 30 bonus, so we're now getting up to 140. We can go up to 155 if we go enhanced range, which I probably should have picked up. Opponent here is picking it. I put the oil in the middle because he was really moving from left to right to left a lot, and if I land the oil in the middle, then at least he can't make those crosses happen as well, and it means that his army should be like more split up. That gives my army a better chance of cleaning up his units. This round looking a little bit better, I would say. Assault Marksman doing a good job of clearing the Typhoons. Phoenixes level 3 chipping in as well. The one thing I will say though, I wasn't aware that the splash on the Marksman was this inconsistent into Phantoms. I was under the impression that we'd be able to hit 2 Phantoms at a time, and so Assault Marksman would be good into it, but as you could see, I would say like 70-80% of the shots, we were just hitting 1 Phantom. And, I mean, that's the same as attacking a Phantom with a regular Marksman. So yeah, not too happy with how that engagement was going. Or at least, well, I learned something. Round number 9, Wraith, Melting Point, Tarantula, and Sandworm offered. We could go for, like, Melting Point Diffract, maybe. Wraith could be useful, but I have a lot of Mech Rage Hounds with range, so I think my Chaff Gear should be good enough. He also doesn't have, like, a ton of Chaff for the stage of the game. So, yeah, it's between Melting Point and probably Sandworm. Sandworm just nice to, like, tank with, right? I've talked about Mechanical Division in the past. Very, very good tech and should do quite well into the high explosive Phantom Rays. So, yeah, you will see me pick up that Sandworm. It is, again, slightly lower value on Elites because I can buy level 2 Sandworms myself if I want to. But it just felt like the best one, and I didn't think I'd be able to scale the Melting Points that well. Perhaps it's something we should have gone for, though. Double Melting Point, range, plus Multi-Melter. Now that I think about it, it does sound pretty good. I also had an Absorption module available. Yeah, that might have been something worth trying out. But this is not a terrible move either. Just able to kind of tank on the outside and then we'll annoy the enemy units. And I decided to go for some shields. Not sure why. I'm guessing maybe he was... he could have tried to oil me, but probably a little bit of a waste there. Let's see. Opponent decides to go for field maintenance sabers. Another reason to perhaps go for the melting point instead. Although we do have the steel balls with range, so if they lock on, we should be fine. And yeah, you can see we're doing kind of okay there. But now we have to get through Phantom Rays with the energy shield, and good lord, there's a lot of them. There is an awful lot of them. And now I'm thinking, well, I probably need double shot. But you can see that Phantom Rays get really out of control at some point. And it's probably one of the units that does this the most. It's just like, it doesn't have a ton of counters in the game, and it gets even worse when you go energy shield, because a lot of units at base, like level 1, won't be able to even break the shield. And then you're looking at like having to rotate like maybe 3, even 4 shots, right? Just to take out one Phantom pack. Or even one Phantom, and there's 3 in the pack. Round number 10, we have Photon... Oh, this is, well, still a bug, visual bug in the game. It's not Photon Emission, it's Ion Blast, of course. Well, we have to pick it up on round 10. This spell is insane in value compared to other red spells. Low cooldown, and if you do hit it properly, it deals a crazy amount of damage. So yeah, I was expecting my opponent to pick it too, but he decides to go for the Photon Emission instead. That is very curious. I guess it's maybe a little bit harder to hit on my board, because I am very spread out, and my marksman might just be able to tank the ion beam, to be honest. But still, like, taking out some of the hounds could have been decent for him. Goes for the photon instead, adds tankiness. Maybe that allows some of his phantom rays to survive. We are looking at some level 5, level 4 phantom rays here, so... yeah, little bit concerning, perhaps. I do go for double shot on my marksman. I mean, I've got some level 6, level 7 assault marksman here on the board. And that should at least allow us to kill the shield instantly. And also kill the phantom that we're shooting at. We just really gotta hope that we hit some good splash attacks where we hit multiple phantom rays at once. Because that'll really speed up the process of getting through his army, as opposed to hitting them one by one. Keep in mind, I haven't really added more sandworms to the board, but I think it's fine just keeping this. I got it for free, and the tech is so cheap that even if you only have one sandworm, it's not a waste of resources. Ion Beam, it hit fine, like softened up some of the units. We do hit double there. Not looking too terrible. Right side is losing. It's a level 2 tower at the very least, so the debuff won't be quite as long as a level 1. And maybe we can win here, but it doesn't look that convincing of a win. At least it certainly isn't enough to take him out, and that was with an ion blast being taken. Yeah, we are going to win. Sandworm's still alive, so that adds another 350, but 648, we're gonna need another one of these. Round number 11, Lightning Storm shows up. Nuke as well. I decided to pick a Lightning Storm because, again, the opponent has these shields on his Phantom Rays. And I felt like the Lightning Storm would just be a bit better in general. But, I mean, both are fine to pick up. They're the same cost, and they probably do the exact same thing in this instance. Which is going to be, like, break the shields off of the Phantoms on one side. Tons and tons of levels available on the marksman. We do pick those up. Level 8 marksman. We might even be able to get a level 9 in there. Although I'd rather end the game right here and now, because we're sitting at 450 hit points. And yeah, it's a little bit precarious. Opponent now decides to go for his Titan, which is a very common thing in the late game, right? Late game tends to like move towards favoring giant boards and Titan boards just because of how efficient they can be. And into my board, it certainly looks quite good. Factory is a main counter to something like Assault Marksman and any like small or mid-sized unit really. And he decides to go for high explosive, which is a tech that not that many people play, but I think it's quite good. I do have it on the bar, I believe. I don't really play War Factory that much, so I click this button even less. Although this is facing some steel balls. The main way I'm going to take this out is if my steel balls manage to lock on, right? Like, marksmen are high level, but this thing has 350,000 hit points almost. Steel balls are locked on, though. It doesn't look too bad. And Storm is doing a decent job here of softening up the enemy phantoms. And we have managed to get rid of that War Factory. That should bode really well for us, considering that was like basically his whole turn of investment and it died instantly. Still though, right side's struggling a lot, and again you can see this marksman just not able to splash, even though all of these phantoms seem to be really clumped. And I mean, it's gonna be very close. My sandworm died sadly, so even if it does survive, it's not gonna do that a full 350 damage. And let's see, can the marksman kind of finish off the remainder of his units? I think they should be able to. There we go. 3 marksmen. We are going to win, but it's not going to be enough again. Down to 336, and it's around 12er right here and now. And we have, well, Underground Threat might be worth picking up here. Acid Blast, not the best, I think. He's very likely to sell this and move it. Maybe even put it further behind. So I don't think Acid Blast does anything. We're going to pick up the Underground Threat instead. Just nice to have some bonus crawlers. Could click the Replicate button if I want to. I will. Because this will allow me to kind of farm off of the flanks. I could have no. I was thinking I could have considered maybe flanking here, but he does have some high-level phantoms covering it, so that's probably going to be way too expensive to do and not even amount to anything. And here, I mean, looking at my turn, I really don't have that much more money left. I probably should go for an Abyss, but I don't even know if I would have the resources for it, to be honest. Steel Balls did very well, though, so I'm happy with those. Phoenix probably could be sold. It's interesting because I haven't sold anything this game. I haven't even gotten the field recovery button. Opponent goes for a loose formation, which is pretty good into my board. I mean, the hounds don't care that much, but it is going to stall a little bit. The one thing it isn't good into, though, is the underground and the replicate. So these crawlers are now much easier to kill, which should mean that we replicate much faster. Oil is back off cooldown too, and indeed the factory is now moved and got on a second tech, which is the range enhancement. So this could be problematic because now it's way further back and it outranges the steel balls by quite a bit. So yeah, it might just stay safe for the entire round. And if it survives, then we're simply going to be dead. Let's see, we got to get through all of these phantoms. Maybe we can collapse from the left and right side. And yeah, again here you can see what I was talking about. Like, the marksmen are hitting, but they just don't really manage to consistently hit 2 phantoms. And that'll be all she wrote, sadly. Yeah, right side there, losing, tower going to go down, and there's no way I'm getting through a full health factory with some high-level marksmen. And so that is going to be game. A fun one, though. A 12-rounder, which is not something that you see that much. I was probably a bit too stubborn this game, not playing any giants. And yeah, eventually he adds a War Factory to the board, and I probably should have responded with my own Titan there. But yeah, I learned something here, which is that, I mean, extended range Phantom Ray can get quite scary, which I kind of knew about already. And yeah, Assault Mode Marksmen, despite the splash, don't really seem able to consistently hit 2 of them, which I thought would be the benefit, but doesn't really end up working that way. We could try and go right back to like round 9 or so when the unit drop was offered. Yeah, it was round 9. See if the multi-melter play would have done anything. So what if we grab these guys and like throw them in here, and then maybe we sell out of the absorption and go something like this, a little loan, a little temp range. We probably want to put this guy on the outside and then maybe give this the absorption, the higher level melter. I think that makes more sense. And then what else do we want to do on this round? Not sure. Not sure. I guess we want to level the marksman, maybe. Leveling. Oh, let's do one Control Z, and then maybe we could just add one crawler to the back of our board and see how that does. Ooh, my marksman here is kind of struggling, though. Okay, it does eventually kill it, but let's see. How are the multi-melters performing? They have locked on to the more important units. But can it win us the round? Okay, the flank has lost, luckily. And we are killing the phantoms, but it is still, like, very close, right? I don't think this is, like, that big of a victory after all. I mean, the smelter will win, but yeah. This probably would have scaled better overall if I just would have added more over time and maybe gotten, like, the absorption tech. So that was one play. Maybe another would be an Abyss. Although, if I go for Abyss, I mean, would we do it this round or would we do it the final round? I guess we can do it this round, because this round I didn't really get anything I necessarily wanted or needed. So let's say that we pick the Sandworm and sell that. Then we have 2,000 for an Abyss. Do we put it right side or left side? I do feel like it would do better on the outsides than on the insides. And then, I mean, what do we want to give it? Maybe we just want to give it efficient maintenance. I don't think any of the techs here are that useful. I don't need the swarm missiles. So maybe it's like wreckage recycling. I guess we could go for wreckage recycling. And then we can level some of our marksmen on the left side here. Maybe we decide to like missile this. And then let's go temp range, of course. Maybe add a fang so that this flank is a little bit happier. Level you. Maybe level the tower. Why did the tower explode there? What was that? And let's just level, I guess, the final two marksmen as well here and see how this does. I think this would have also skilled quite well, and of course it defends against almost all like giant options that would be available. And it's very tanky, so the HE Phantoms should take a while to get through. As I say that, they are kind of starting to chunk, but you've got that healing tech. And yeah, you can see that it is rather good against the Phantoms, because I think it doesn't even care about the shield on them. I think it just like hits them so much when it passes the beam that it just takes away the shield in the same swipe. So yeah, this seems like it does even better than the melter play. And I would have been able to scale this quite nicely. Not quite lethal. I think he had like 1,400 hit points at this stage, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So it wouldn't have killed him, but this would have been another option down the line. And yeah, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of Assault Marksman, Extended Range Phantom. Have you played it? Have you faced it? Let me know. If you want to stay up to date on latest content, please consider subscribing. And if you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. With that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.